Hello guys, in this video I'm gonna show you how you can build GlobalProtect Portal and Gateway in your WAP environment and how you can connect remote users to access protected resources behind your firewall. So this is a simple diagram which illustrates the setup. We are going to have three separate interfaces, each connected to a different zone. From the management we are going to connect to the firewall. On the protected zone we gonna put one server, and on the internet we are going to connect a client machine on which we will install the GlobalProtect agent so that it can connect to the portal and access the protected resource on the private side. Okay, so first things first, we're gonna start our VMware and we are going to open our virtual network editor to prepare the network adapters. So as you can see, we have a VNet 1 assigned to this network and VN10 assigned to VMnet 10. And to map this with the topology, here internet segment will be actually represented by VNet 1 and protected segment is VNet 10 as suggested by the subnet portion of the network. So I already have this set on my side, and to begin with the lab environment I'm gonna erase my previous config. So here I'm following the guide to do a factory reset on my system so that we can start with welcome to maintenance mode. We hit continue and then we search for factory reset. Performing factory reset will remove all logs and config. Okay, that's fine for me. Scrubbing will iteratively write patterns on the PAN CFG, PAN logs, and any extra disks to make the retrievable the data more difficult. Okay, I don't want to scrub. If you are scrubbing, select the type. I'm not scrubbing, so proceeding to. Okay, so obviously factory reset status succeeded. And now we have to simply reboot, I guess. Let's see actually if this is going to work, because it is the first time I'm doing it. So I'm also not sure about the results, but I hope there won't be any issues. So while we are waiting, I'm going to draw the services which we are going to host on this side of the network, the internet facing side. So we are going to host two separate services. One is GlobalProtect Portal and the other is GlobalProtect Gateway. Normally in more complex environments, these services are running on separate physical appliances, but here, for simplicity, we are going to host both of these services on the same appliance. So it will be more easier for us. Okay. The machine booted up, but obviously it didn't manage to take an IP address from the bridge network. And this is sometimes an issue because the order of the interfaces on the PAN-OS and the assignment, VM network adapter assignment is not matching, or it just do some weird mapping between these. Usually, I mean, the most intuitive way to think about this is to say that the first network adapter is always port 1, the second is port 2 and stuff. I mean management, port 1, port 2, etc. But obviously this may not be the case here. So now let's give it a time to load, and we're gonna check if actually the management interface is really bad. And if we check the other interfaces, none of them is actually taking an IP address, but here the problem might be... Actually, I don't know what might be the problem, to be honest, but this is a real world scenario issues with VMware and PAN-OS. One of the reasons why I don't like actually these machines. With Fortinet I don't have such problems, but PAN-OS, of course, they are more complex systems, some would say, and that's why because they are complex, there are problems, right? What I can try to do is to reverse the order here of the bridged interface and VM10. So here I'm gonna put VM10 and port 3 will be the management. Let's see now. I'm gonna power off, because when you're flipping the interfaces in this way, we have to perform reboot. So this is our machine, we're going to start it. So here we are, show interface management, and we see the IP address. If we type this IP address in the GUI, we are supposed to log in into the management console of the box. If we try to authenticate and if the system is actually properly loaded, okay, now we are in. Telemetry data, stuff like that, blah blah blah, bullshit and bullshit. So now we have to identify which one is... I guess port 1 will be the protected subnet. So let's map this into the diagram. This is port 1, this is port 2, and this is MGMT. Okay. Normally I would flip this, but now probably it worked like that, so I'm not going to change it. How we can verify if this is really the case? Well, we're gonna see. First, we are going to set and change this interface to layer 3. We are going to assign it into the default virtual router. We are going to create a new zone, which we are going to call protected zone. And that's it. We have to set an IP address for this and mask, of course. And we are also going to configure a interface management profile, which will allow us to connect with ping to the interface. Not connect, but do ping to the interface, so that the interface can actually respond to our ping requests. Okay. So now let's proceed with the second port. We are going to assign it to be a layer 3 port. On the virtual router default, we are going to create new zone. This time the zone will be called iNet zone. And of course map the ping profile and address. Let's say this one. Let's do a commit and verify if our ping to the interface will start. Someone is already responding to this. I'm not sure if this is my PAN-OS device. Maybe it is my actual virtual adapter setting. I have to verify this. If I go on to network and additional, we have to make sure that the adapter itself doesn't have the 1.1. It is not the adapter. Okay. So how can this B. This interface is pingable, the other is not. I'm expecting my physical... I'm expecting my machine to be able to ping both of these interfaces. But probably a route is not installed. A route print. We have to type and verify. So the 10.10.10 is on link, and this is the interface on my host. Okay. We said that 10.10.10 is not pingable. Actually, I'm checking the wrong interface. And now if we verify this one, let's just set a dummy IP address. No man, just route print. This one already changed, so let's verify. 10.10.10.254. Now suddenly become pingable. To be honest, I have no idea why this happened, why it forces me to change the address of my virtual adapter, but it doesn't matter. Now it works. So we have, let's say, basic layer 3 connectivity. Again. So now, as we have already established layer 3 configuration on the interfaces, assigned zone on those interfaces, the next steps which we are going to perform are to configure the portal and the gateway. But before that, there are some prerequisites which needs to be established. Normally these are part of the design. When you are setting up your solution, you have to decide how you are going to authenticate clients connecting to the portal, what certificate portal will present to the clients to encrypt the connection, what network range you're gonna assign on the clients, which gateway you're gonna assign to the clients in our specific, let's say, WAP environment. The gateway will be the same as portal, so yeah, we simply set the same IP address as on the portal. So now let's go through each of these steps, but before that I want to create here, actually I have to remind myself how this is done, but as I said, we are going to authenticate users with local database. So in our, let's say, local database, we're gonna create a user, let's say Petrov, that K Petrov, that's my username, and I set a password. Probably to accept it because it is not a complex one. Account is enabled, so we have one user. We don't need to configure a user group, and authentication profile, which is going to leverage this local database, also has to be configured. And here I wonder, where do we specify, for example, in the authentication profile, if we want to authenticate the users with LDAP, where do I specify the server profile? That's really interesting. How this happens? I don't know. This is authentication profile. We have factors. We have an allowed list. But where do we specify the source of authentication? I have to remind myself how these settings are configured. Authentication profile. When we are creating new user domain type. Type. Okay, so type here, we have to specify local database. If we specify, let's say, some other type of profile like radius, it will ask us to configure the server profile. But when you specify a local database, the system automatically knows to check its local database for users. So now we have authentication profile, we have local database with a one user, and now let's also check the SSL and TLS profile. I created already this one. This is a profile which uses a self-signed certificate. I generated it just now. Let's jump out and finish the portal config. We are creating new portal. We call it GlobalProtect Portal. We are going to host this service on the internet facing interface. As it can be seen from the diagram, this is actually port 2, yeah, and this one I'm selecting port 2. So here the address on port 2 is this one, authentication. So here we have to encrypt somehow the connection, and we are using this TLS server profile, which actually uses the self-signed CA. So self-signed CA certificate is going to be present from the portal to the client, and client will verify the trustworthy of this certificate, but we're gonna go into that later. So now we have to choose how we are going to authenticate the client. And as I mentioned earlier, we are going to use LocalDB for any operating system, and we are allow authenticate with username or client cert. So let me think about this now. If this option is set to no, this means that to enforce client certificate, you must select the certificate profile in client authentication. Here, we are not going to select this one because we don't want to authenticate clients with certificates. We just want to authenticate clients with username and password. And now let's proceed and do some agent config. Default agent CFG. Okay. Config selection criteria. We are not going to use any special. For internal host detection, we are not going to have, and for external gateway, my gateway. As I already mentioned, for everybody, it will be the same. So here I am actually saying on my clients on which gateway to connect, because first let's say these are GlobalProtect specific. First they connect to the portal to obtain config from the portal, and portal redirect them to connect to their, let's say, most preferable gateway. You may have different selection criteria. You may choose to connect agents from different geographies on different gateways. So this is how, based on your setup. Here we are using simple example where we just have a single gateway, and all of the users are going to be instructed to connect to this single gateway. These are the app configurations, and I'm not going to go through these one. I'm hoping that the default settings will be enough for my lab to run. So I'm choosing OK. So we already have agent config ready. So that's all for the portal. Now let's gonna jump on the gateway. Here this is essentially the VPN termination point. So this is GP gateway. We are going to choose the same interface, the same IP address. We are going to choose the same certificate profile, and we are going to authenticate the users in the exact same way as the portal do. Here now we have more interesting stuff to configure. We have to associate tunnel interface with the clients. So this is, let's say, tunnel 10. Tunnel 10 will be part of the virtual router default, and it is going to be part of a security zone, which we are going to name GP users. Okay. And the address which we are going to assign on this network is, let's say, this one, 254, and we are going to allow ping on the interface. So we have already two new interface ready on the config for all users. Default, let's say, default config, default CFG. For all users, any operating system, any user. Do we actually really need this? Maybe I can simply define the pool here. 3210. Let's say like that. Or maybe as a range. Let me define it as a range. 172, 32, 10, 25, 250. Split tunnel. Okay, let's use split tunnel config. We are going to put my protected network inside, and that should be fine for our test. Okay, so we have also gateway config. Let's commit our changes and see what will happen. By the way, I just want to mention that I have not single piece of preparation for this illustration. I'm doing the things on the fly with you. So that's raw material, that's real world actually labbing, and here we can do the stuff with, let's say, safeness, because we are not doing this in production. You have to be really careful when you are touching this in your production environment. What do we have here? We have some warning messages. And why is that? Because on the GP zone users, we have to enable some settings, which are important settings for a policy enforcement, and we are going to fix those. For GP users, we are going to enable and allow user ID agent to extract information. So do we have any other? We don't have IPv6 address, and we don't have HIP data. No valid subscription license. I don't want HIP data. I don't care about this one. So let's just commit. Okay, guys. So in my environment, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to host a separate operating system to connect to the portal and gateway, because my PC is also having virtual adapter in this network. I'm expecting that if I point my GlobalProtect agent to the address of the portal, it should actually be able to connect. Okay, I am expecting this. But let's follow the process and see what's gonna happen. Does the new commit finish? Yes. So here, if we choose to connect on for once, what's gonna happen? Certificate is not signed by a trusted authority. We recommend that you do not proceed. So these are the default settings of the agent. Normally these are customizable, but to be customizable you have to have a successful connection from the portal and obtain this config where you are able to proceed. But now you are not able to proceed. So what we are going to do? We are going to do something which will fix the issue. So on the certificates, as I said, we use these self-signed certificates. We're gonna click and export this certificate, and I'm gonna install this certificate on my machine so that it becomes trusted. On the current user, let's choose the trusted root certificate authorities, and yes, I want this. And now if we do the connection again, this time this error is not present. So you see how we fix the issue. Very fast, right? So now let's enter the username. Petrov. And let's see what's gonna happen. Authentication failed. So this one isn't expected. Let me see once again. Okay. Finding best available gateway connected. It says already connected. My gateway, yeah? Does this match with my setup, yeah? Let's check it. Gateway. Where did I assign this name? I don't remember. How this? Let me check. Because somebody is actually pinging me in Teams. Nothing important, I guess. Hope. Okay. So from where this my gateway actually comes from, we have a global search. I don't remember already. My gateway. Where do I? GlobalProtect Portal. Aha, this is the name of the... Okay, so this comes from here. On the agent config, external gateway is my gateway. Yeah, so we're connected. That's really impressive, right? And now, if we check our routing table, route print, and let's see how the 10 network is routed. 10 network is routed to this interface with lower metric. This means more preferable. Lower metric means more preferable. And now, if I try to ping, let's try to ping 10.10.10.254. That's the IP address of the PAN-OS. It was pingable previously, do you remember? But now, when I connected my GlobalProtect, it is no longer pingable. So, let's check the logs. Is it blocked on the firewall? Traffic? No, we don't have any logs. But why is that? That's not normal. The connection is now flowing through the firewall, but there is no log. And why is that? Because, guys, by default, this interzone, we are going to create interzone rule. Implicit or explicit deny we're gonna call. Because the implicit deny rule is denying the traffic silently without generating logs and make our heads make us scratch our heads, let's say, or I don't know what the word or what phrase should I use for this one, but yeah, we have to think about this. And source zone, any destination zone, any, yeah, and action drop, and I want to generate lock. So this one now is supposed to generate lock when traffic is blocked from the firewall. Actually, intrazone in any, maybe it would be more intuitive to configure it in the same way, intrazone. Intra means communication within the same zone. Inter means communication between different zones. So actually here, I am not sure if my rule is gonna cover both and block both, but I don't care for the moment, so. Okay. This is completed, so let's generate some traffic, interesting traffic again, and check the logs. Okay, this time, what do we see? We already see some block traffic, but that's not our traffic, man. What's happening? Where my ping goes? I don't know. I'm generating stuff. I'm connected, but still, this firewall doesn't show me the lock. And let me think about this. This is supposed to arrive on the GP zone and then go. And my policy rule is universal. Can I call it interzone to be more specific? And I can even try to enable walk at session start, because this generates more extensive walk and it is sometimes useful for troubleshooting. So let's wait for the first commit to complete, and then I'm gonna... What is this? This is my ping, bro. Yeah, this is my ping from source. Actually, that's a question. Is it my ping? Oh, bless to me. That's not my ping, actually. That's not my ping. And that's really interesting. Oh my god. Why I'm seeing this? And why this is even generating traffic? It should be from zone GP. Let me verify once again. Route print if we do. Here we have route, which is supposed to use the GlobalProtect Gateway. Okay. I'm generating traffic. What is this now? I'm pinging. This is some weird port. It doesn't say ping, but I'm not generating any other traffic. This is some kind of a broadcast traffic. I don't know actually how it was even generated, but okay, it doesn't matter. Now we have to trace, because I'm pretty sure that this communication which I'm generating is supposed to flow through the firewall, but I'm not seeing it. And if I do a packet capture with a filter set to expect GlobalProtect, let's check what GlobalProtect assigned to my ipconfig. No ipconfig/o. So we're gonna search for the GlobalProtect pan-GP virtual adapter. That's the interface, that's the source. And the destination which we are trying to ping is this one. Is it this one? Am I checking it right? Yeah, this one is supposed to be. And proto non-IP. Okay, let's set it like this. We have already filter. And guys, you're gonna see how weird it is to set a capture on the panel. Yes, I mean, you have to set filter on every stage. That's some kind of frustrating for me. I don't know why, and whoever came up with this idea, or they have simply not simplified, but it is nightmare for me to work with that. I'm going to turn on the capture and I'm going to start generating traffic, and I'm gonna refresh, and we wanna see if my ping is actually dropped or this is something else. But it matches my filter. It pretty much matches my filter. So my ICMP request is dropped. And now it is the question, why the hell? Okay, now I see. This is the walk which I was expecting to see, but probably the appliance is slower than me, which is completely normal for the appliance to be slower than me, of course. So now that's the walk, guys, which I wanted to show you. What we have to do now is to configure a policy to allow this traffic, because firewall is blocking it. We don't have an explicit rule to allow the connection, so the default firewall behavior is to deny every traffic which is not explicitly permitted, right? So on the source zone, we're going to select our GP users. On the destination zone, we're going to select our protected zone. We are not going to restrict the applications, and we are going to allow this traffic. Okay, and we're gonna give a name, GP to protected. Okay, and now let's commit this one. I'm gonna grab glass of water. Okay guys, so we are back in the game. Policy is now pushed. And let's initiate the same test again. It's still failing. Now that's an interesting part. Again, we have to troubleshoot. So these are some real deal, man. These are some real deal. Real deal stuff. Look at session end, it says. Okay, let's verify. On the interface, on the protected interface, do we have interface management profile assigned to allow the ping to happen? Yes, we have it. Okay. Okay. But this one doesn't respond. Is it still dropping the traffic? Take a look at this error. I positioned the row below the one which blocks it. So of course the firewall processes the rows from top to bottom, and that's why we face this issue. Now let's reverse the order and see what's gonna happen. Back in business, guys. That's an update. So right now, what do we have? If we jump back onto our diagram, we have my PC connecting through the GP agent with an encrypted connection to the firewall, and from there pinging the server. Actually, I don't have a server. I'm simply pinging the interface, the protected interface, but actually the walk confirms the path of the traffic. So I'm not pinging directly, let's say, my protected resource from the direct connection with the adapter. Instead, my connection goes in this way. From PC encrypted and from the PAN-OS to the interface itself decrypted. So that's it. I hope you like this video. For more, please like and subscribe, motherfucker. Are best, motherfucker.